सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयं यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। Read verse 120. Or from 118. अवगत्या हि संव्याप्तः प्रत्ययो विषयाकृतिः जायते स यदाकारः स बाह्यो विषयो मतः कर्मेप्सिततमत्वात् सः तद्वान् कार्ये नियुज्यते। आकारो यत्र चार्प्येत करणं तदिहोच्यते। यद्वाभासेन संव्याप्तः यदाभासेन संव्याप्तः सज्ञातेति निगद्यते। त्रयमेतद्विविच्यात्र यो जानाति स आत्मवित्। अवगत्या हि संव्याप्तः प्रत्ययः विषयाकृतिः जायते स यदाकारः सह बाह्यो विषयः मतः. What is an external object of perception, such as ghata, pata, various names and forms that I perceive? Pratyayo vishayakritihi. A pratyaya or cognition that arises in my mind, vishayakritihi, which is akriti or the form of the object. जायते से यदाकारः सो अवगत्यायि संव्याप्तः जायते. Any pratyaya or thought always takes place as illumined by avagati or consciousness. You can say is pervaded by consciousness. So yadakara, whatever the akara that is there, this is called the external. So what is this ghata? Bahyo vishaya mataha, ghata is thought to be an external object. How do you determine that? Pratyayo vishayakritihi. When a thought of the form of the phata or ghata arises in mind, and how do you know it arises? Because I am aware of that, which means that it is pervaded by awareness. Sabahyo vishayo mataha, that ghata of which the thought arises is called this thought to be the external object. Meaning all that we know are our thoughts. And whatever form the thought has, a thought must have a reason to be there. It must correspond to something out there, and therefore, if a thought of the nature of ghata arises, then we know that there is an object there, which is called ghata. So we know the existence of external object from the thought that takes place in our mind. Whatever be the akara or form of the thought, such as ghatakara, that is what we believe to be the external object, because a thought cannot take place without the object, and thought corresponds to the object. Akaro ita charpyeta karanam tadhiya uchyate. What is it that imparts the akara or form to that? That is the karanam, the eyes. Here the eyes illumine that object, and that is why the mind takes the form of that object. So what imparts the akara or a form to the thought is the eyes or the karanam, meaning the means of perception. Yada bhasena samvyaptah sajñāteti nigadyate. And all of this is illumined by the abhasa of the consciousness, which is a reflected consciousness, and therefore the ahamvritti with reflected consciousness is called jnata. Trayam vivichyatra yo janati sa atmavet. One who knows this, who can separate the three, the Vishaya, the Karana, and the Jnata. He is Atmavid, he is the knower of the self. So looking at the Tika of the verse 120, Vishaya Karane Vyatpadya Kartaram Vyatpadayati. The teacher explained what Vishaya was, what Karanam was, and now who is the Karta? Yad Abhasena is a samasa. Yad Yasya Abhasena Yad Abhasena Yasya Chit Pratibhimbasya Abhasena Samvyaptaha. So that thought arises as pervaded by or illumined by the abhasa, the consciousness. Which consciousness? The consciousness reflected in the vritti. Sachit pratibimbaha jnata iti nigadyate. So when that abhasa, aham vritti is and the chidabhasa in aham vritti is called the jnata. Evam saksham nirdishya. Saksha is object of sakshi, or what is witnessed. So saksham prathak upalambayati, that sakshi, the witness, is different from what is witnessed. The sakshi is witnessed. Trayameta vivichyatra yo vijajo janati. Etatrayam jnata jnanam jnayam cheti vivichya. Distinguishing each of them asadharanyena avagamya. So not only you know, but then you know the asadha, the specific form that they have. So jnata has some form distinct from the jnanam, which has a form different from the jnayam. All of them have something in common. They are all thoughts pervaded by consciousness, but there is also something different in each of them, which is what distinguishes them. So, asadharanyena avagamya. So, sadharanam is there, which is the form and the consciousness. Asadharanam is the nature of the form, specific form. Atratraye paraspara apeksha siddhike. These three, the Vishaya, Karanam and Jnata, each one of them depends upon the other two for it to be there. You know that Karanam is there, eyes are there when the object is illumined. And there is someone who perceives that. So that Karanam or the means of perception can be determined only when there is something that is perceived and a perceiver. So how do you know the means of perception? When something is perceived, which can be only when there is perceiver. How do you determine the perceiver? When there is something perceived with a means of perception. So paraspara apeksha siddhike. Each one can be there only when the other two are there. Agamapayini. They each are subject to coming and going, changing. Agamapayini vartamanam swatasiddham tad avadhutam anagamapayi sakshinam. In all the three, the Vishaya, the Karanam and the Jnata, in all the three, what is common? The Jna. Vart swatasiddham tat avadibhutam anagamapayi sakshinam. All of these ultimately lead to the content of each of them, which is sakshi of the consciousness. Yo janati. Ultimately, the existence of all the three can be determined only when there is sakshi of them. General rule is that we can determine that something is there only when there is a witness to that. That there is a pot here can be determined only when there is a witness of the pot. That these three are there can be determined when there is a sakshi. Whereas they keep on changing, the sakshi remains changeless, illumining them. Yo janati samyak avagacchati sa atmavita. So these three are utilized to arrive at the sakshi. The Vishaya, the Karana, the Jnata, all of them are known separately from each other, and the one that which is common to all of them, namely illuminator, the Jna, the consciousness, that is the sakshi, that remains unchanged. So, yo janati samyak avagacchati saha atmavid. Who knows that sakshi itself is atma, he is the no. So these three are utilized to arrive at the sakshi. And thus, who knows the sakshi, the witness as the self, he is the self-knower of the self. Atmavita tvampad lakshya pratyagatmavita yojana. In the Tattvamasi Prakranam, Atma is the Tvampada, meaning of the Tvampada, word Tvam. Tvampada Lakshyam, the Vachyam is the Ahankara and Lakshya is the consciousness. Iti Yojana. Taduktam Shri Bhagavate. The Tikakara now refers to a verse from Bhagavata. एकमेक तरा भावे यदा नोपलभामहे. Ekam ekatara abhave. Ekam one, ekatara the other one. So three are mentioned here, the Vishaya, the Karana and the Jnata. Any one of them, ekatara abhave, any of the other two is not there. So no Upalabha, we cannot know the Vishaya unless the Karanam illumining the Vishaya is there or the knower of the Vishaya is there. So Karanam also we cannot know unless the Vishaya, illumined Vishaya is there or the one who uses the Karanam is there. So also Jnata cannot be known unless what is known and the means of knowing is there. Ekam ekatara bhave. If the other is not there, we cannot arrive at one. Each one of them requires all the three. Yadana upalabhamahe, when we cannot know the other two in absence of one. This is how their paraspara apeksha siddhikam. Each one of them depends on the other for its being there. Tritayam tatrayo veda. One who knows this Tritayam, this group of three, sa Atma. One who knows them, illumines them, that is Atma. So Atma is the one that illumines the Vishaya, the Karana and the Jnata. Swashraya Ashraya. Others were all Parashraya. Others were all dependent upon others. This Swashraya, the self-dependent, Ashraya of everything else. Only the Atma is independent of others, but it is also Ashraya of the other three. So Swashraya, Ashraya is it. Now footnote number 1. This we did not do, I think, last time. Okay, footnote kahin agi? We have done the whole thing? Oh. Alright. Anyway, we'll still read it. Srimad Bhagavate kvachit kvachidapi aneka grantha nyastaha. There are many knots, or the, what shall I say, the Kuta Shloka Granthi or Koido Janakava, you know, what you call the riddles. In Bhagavatam, in many places you find the riddles. Am Shloka Eka Granthi is also one of the riddles. The Rathabodha Purashloka Abodha Sapeksha. To understand this verse requires the meaning of the previous verse. The Prasam Savyakya Sasangrahita. Therefore, we are giving you the previous verse along with the Vyakya. Yad Jyatmikoyam Purush. This is Shukadev is telling Parikshit, you know, all of a sudden. So, in Bhagavata Katha, all of a sudden, this kind of things also appear, you know. I guess Parikshit must be understanding all of them. There is no Tikakara there, just stated. जो आध्यात्मिकोयम पुरुष सो आदिदैविक है. आध्यात्मिक पुरुष इज आदिदैविक. यस तत्र उभय विच्छेद है. हु सेपरेट्स अध्यात्म फ्रॉम अधिदैव. सस्मृतो अधिभौतिक अध्यात्म अधिदैव अधिभौतिक मेड भूतास. द बॉडी इज अधिभौतिक. सेल्फ इज अध्यात्म and Devata is the Adhideva. One who separates the Adhyatma and Adhideva is this Adhibhuta, the body. Yam Adhyatmika Purusha Chakshuradikaranaabhimani Drashta Jiva. Seva so Adhyatmika Purusha Suryadi. He says this Drashta from the eye the same as the Surya who is the cosmic Drashta. Or the one that illumines this individual drashta. Atra purushasya jivasya upaditvat indriyadau purushabdha prayogaha. Real purusha is jiva. But then indriya etc. the upadhi of the jiva, so they are also called purusha. Sama esha purusho nirasamaya. Nirasamaya body is called purusha. Because body is the upadhi of the Purusha or Atma. And so that is also called Atma. Yedam adhyatvam chakshurādikaranam seva asa adhidaivaga chakshurādhishta suryādhi purushaha smutaha. So this the chakshuradi, the group of sense organs such as eyes, are the same as the cosmic devatas such as the Surya. Indriya tat adhisthanapi suryadi amshatven aikarupyat. Because Adideva is Surya and eyes also are nothing but amsha of the Surya. Therefore, in that sense, they have the same nature of light or illumination. Both are produced from the element fire. यस्तु तत्र एकस्मिन्नेव उभयोः आध्यात्मिक आदिदेव रूपे विच्छेदः भेदः, the one that creates a separation between the two, so which we recognize Adhyatma and Adhideva. What enables us to know that distinction is something that separates them? That is Deha Adhibhutah. Tathavida Chakshur Golakadi Upalakshito Drishyo Deha. The Chakshu is the Golaka, that's not separate, but that where that is located is called Deha, is there, the one that separates the Adhyatma from Adhideva. So Adhibhautika Purushaha. So Abhinnayo api Karanatadhishnatro Golake eva bhedah buddhyate. Even the eyes and the sun are not separate, but it is Golaka that creates separation between the eyes, the Adhyatma, and Surya, the Adhideva. Anyatra Karanasya Bhavana Bhedabodha Bhavat. In Golaka alone that Karana eyes is there, and therefore that is where we know the difference. Evam Indriyam Adhyatmikam Devata Adhidevikam Golakam Adhibhautikam. Indriya Adhyatmikam Devata Adhidevikam Golaka Adhibhautikam. Vishayopi Adhibhautika. Visha also is made of the 5 elements. That's the meaning of the previous verse. Coming to this verse. Ekam ekatara abhave yada no plabhamahe. Ekam ekatara abhave iti. Etesham anyonya sapeksha siddhatve. What is it? Nanatmatvam suchayati. Nanatmatvam. Anyonya sapeksha siddhatve. That each one of them, ekam ekatara bhave, one cannot be in absence with the other two. That means they are all dependent upon each other. Na anatmatvam suchayati. Or nana atmatvam, they are all different from each other. Tathai drishyam vina tat pratiti anumeyam karanam na siddhyate. Only when pot is there, then we know that the eyes are there because pot is illuminated by the eyes. So according to Naiyayikas, the sense organs are inferred from the sense perception. Napi drashta, without that also you cannot arrive at drashta or the perceiver. Tad vina karana pravritti anumeya. And without that part, karana pravritti also, that eyes are illuminating the part, then also we cannot infer. Uttadharishtada suryadi, and the Surya also, all of these are, Naiyayikas say that all of these are inferred. Tad vina karanam pravartate. And without the drishya, the part, even karana, the eyes also have no, they will not become active or engaged. Tad vina drishyam, without the eyes, the drishyam cannot be arrived at. Without drishya, eyes cannot be arrived at, etc. Evam yada ekatarasya bhave ekapi na. If one of them is not there, we cannot arrive at none of them. तत्र तदा तद् आध्यात्मिकादि त्रितयम् आलोचनात्मकेन pratyena veda. That being a case, one knows this group of three, sakshitaya pashyati, who sees them as a witness, who sees the self as different from all of them as witness. Which are the three are there? Drishya is there, Karana is there, and the Jnata is there. And one who sees oneself as Sakshi, the witness of all the three. Sakshitaya pashyati, sa atma eva, that is Atma alone. Pashyati means the one that illumines. Then even the drashtutvam is not there. You know yourself merely as an illuminator. Swashrayashraya. Swashraya ananyashraya. Swashraya means the one that is independent, doesn't have any, that depends on its own self. Such as anyasham ashrayasya. So Atma is its own ashraya as well as ashraya of everything else. Thus swashraya ashraya. Anyasham siddhi anyasapeksha. The drishyam, the karanam, the drashta cannot be unless each other one is there. Atma siddhina, but Atma does not require any of them for it to be there because it is self-effulgent. Other things can be known only when they are illumined. Ateva vicharitvat tesham mayamayatvam. So since they are vichari, meaning that they are subject to being excluded, that means they are dependent. So therefore they enjoy only dependent reality. That's called Maya. Now continue with the next page, 377 here, the verse 121. Viveka prakarameva vishadayati. So, tritayam tatrayo veda. One who knows them separately. Asadharanyena avagamya. Meaning there is something sadharanam in all of them and something asadharanam. So one who knows the distinct features of each of them. That's how he knows them separately. That viveka, that method of separating, Vishayadayadi clarifies here, verse 121. Samyak samshaya mityoktaha pratyaya vyabhicharinah ekaikavagatisteshu vedastu pratyayarpitah. Samyak samshaya mithya uktaha pratyaha vyabhicharinah. Three kinds of pratyas or thoughts or cognitions arise. Either samyak, that you know something as it is, samshaya, or there is a doubt, or mithya, you know it falsely. So either you know the rope as a rope, there is a doubt whether is it a rope or a snake, or you know it is a snake, that is the mithya. Pratyayaha, so these are three kinds of pratyaya, three kinds of cognitions are there. Vyabhicharinah, each one excludes the other, they cannot exist simultaneously. Vyabhichari means that which excludes others, that which is excluded by others. Eka eva avagatisteshu, however, what is common in all of them is avagati or the consciousness. In samyak pratyaya also consciousness is there, samshaya also consciousness is there, mithya also, because they are all illuminated consciousness. Teshu eka avagati eka eva. In all of them, avagati, consciousness is one alone. Vedastu pratyarpitah. And what distinguishes each of them is the pratyaya, the form of the thought. So thought form separated is samyak, samshaya and mithya. Whereas what illumines them, the consciousness, is common to all of them. Vedastu pratyarpita iti etat drishtantena spashtayati. Meaning consciousness is sadharana. And the pratyaya or the form of the thought, that is asadharana. So explains the verse 122. Adi Veda Adyatha Vedaha Mane Ramagates Tatha Ashuddhif Parinamascha Sarvam Pratyaya Samshayat. Adi Vedat Upadi Vedat. Adi means Upadi. Yatha Vedaha Mane. Mani means a crystal here. So just as there is a Veda or the difference in crystal on account of the Upadi. Upadi is any colored object that is placed beside the crystal that imparts its color to the crystal. So that is Upadi. And so when thus the crystal appears of different color, what creates the difference is not the crystal but the Upadi. So Manehe Avagate Manehe Bhedaha Yatha. This is Mani or crystal also appears different on account of the difference in Upadi or the limiting adjunct as it is called. Avagate tatha. Avagati means knowledge or consciousness. Similarly, consciousness like crystal. Transparent, pure, devoid of any attributes at all. And therefore it is subject to being influenced by anything that is in the vicinity. If you take this object, put anything in the vicinity, it's not going to be affected because its own color. There is no, it does not have its own attribute, own distinction. That will assume the distinction created by anything that is in the vicinity. Tatha ashuddhi parinamascha sarvam pratyaya samshrayat. Similarly, there is ashuddhi, parinama, change, all of this is in pratyaya. Atma may appear ashuddha, Atma may appear changing, avagati or consciousness, but that impurity or change is not in consciousness, is in the upadi, namely the mind, which is in the vicinity. Mind means the thought, pratyaya samshrayat. So Tika says, Mane sphatikade pratyaya samshrayat ahankara pratibimbakrita abhasa samshrayat nimittadityartha. Pratyaya samshrayat ahankara pratibimbakrita abhasa nimittat. So this pratyaya also receives, the pratyaya also reflects the consciousness. So how does pratyaya or a thought also becomes enlivened by consciousness? So ahankara pratibimbakrita abhasa. First ahankara, that is enlivened by consciousness, and that in turn illumines the other thoughts, and that's how they get illumined. And so samshrayat nimitta panchami, that nimittat. So because of the pratyaya samshrayat, that pratyaya is ahankara pratibimbakrita abhasa. So that abhasa or the reflected consciousness is in a given thought, and that is how that pratyaya is what distinguishes ashuddhi from parinama, from other things. In short, the distinctions are in pratyaya or the thoughts, and not in the consciousness that pervades the thoughts. So even when the distinctions are there, recognized, there is something in all of them that is not distinct. In all asadharanam, there is sadharanam, the consciousness that illumines them, pervades them. Like in all pots, the sadharana is the clay. Or in all the objects, sadhana is light, which illumines the objects. And so the light is something that is asadharanam. Nanu grahya grahana grahatat grahaka atirikta atma siddho. With atma, grahya grahana grahaka atirikta grahya vishaya grahaka karana. Grahana is the perception. Grahaka the drashta. Atirikta. Atma is tritayam tatrayo veda. When he illumines all these three, the Triputi. Kim pramanam. Now, see, you know the pratyayas, the vishaya you know because there is a thought. And atma, the karta or drashta also you know, but that's also a thought. But atma is that which is not, which indistinguished. It pervades, illumines everything. Atma or consciousness does not have its own distinction. It is that which illumines all distinct pratyayas or entities without itself having any distinction. So, how even do you say that there is the consciousness illumining? See, what is illumined are all these objects such as this clip and such as this mala and such as this pot. Now we say that each one of them is known because it is illumined by light, which is in fact devoid of any distinction. But you can't perceive light itself. We perceive light only when it is reflected by an object. But light itself you don't perceive. So how do you know there is light? Similarly, each one is perceived because of consciousness. But then that consciousness that illumines the grahaka, then grahanam, grahaka, grahanam, grahyam. What is the proof or evidence of that consciousness being there? What's the evidence of light being there that illumines the objects? So, kim pramanoktam etavata bhavati. So, from what you have said, how do you arrive at the proof or the evidence that there is this consciousness that is distinct from them and that illumines them? What is the evidence? What evidence have you provided in making these statements? You think? So, next one says, prasanam grahanam siddhi pratyyanamihanyatah aparokshat tadevoktam anumanam pradipavata. Prasanam grahanam siddhi pratyanam iha anyatah pratyanam prasanam pratyanam grahanam pratyanam siddhi iha anyatah. Is by something else. So says pratyanam vishakaranam. So the pratyas, the cognition that take place of the nature of the object, like ghatakar vritti, patakar vritti. Jagat swapna avasthanam. This setup is similar in dream also. So in waking and dream, these various cognitions of sense objects that take place. Prasanam means furanam. Grahanam, upadanam means that you perceive that. Or sthiti, that they are there. So either they are perceived or they exist. Vyavaharova, or that you call it, the ghata, pata, etc. Siddhi. So, prathanam grahanam siddhi. Siddhi means swarupa labhascha. That there is the sphuranam of Vishayakara, or there is perception of that Vishaya, or there is the existence of that Vishaya, or that you interact with that Vishaya, or you describe that Vishaya. All of this is possible when you have vyavaharo anyatah anyasmat. A ghata is perceived by you not because of ghata only. Ghata is of course, but that ghata perception requires something else. Ghata sthiti also requires something else. And ghata, picking up the ghata, any kind of vyavahara also requires something else. Siddhi, the existence of ghata, also requires something. Swarupa labhascha. Vyavaharo anyataha is all because of something else. Here we can see it is because of light, in fact, that you perceive the ghata and then any vyavahara is possible. You see the ghata, pick up the ghata, do anything with that, that's called vyavahara. It's only when the ghata is perceived, only when it is illumined, when the light is there. Here we are going to more fundamental light of consciousness, because the thoughts also are illumined here. Anyat anyasmat aparokshyat, and that is which is anyat aparoksha. Aparoksha svabhavat. Aparoksham means that which enjoys the nature of being aparoksha. It means immediate. Aparoksha means immediate. Means my own self. What is immediate is myself. So, now how do you establish existence of this consciousness? How do you establish existence of your own self or consciousness, which you say illuminates everything, which is self-illuminating, therefore you do not, it doesn't depend upon anything else. Otherwise you will know. If something depends upon something else, then you can determine, arrive at it. And so the teacher says here that some aparoksha must be there for all of these to be known, to be existing, to be become object of vyavahara. Aparoksha svabhavat bhavitam anumanam. That all of these are, whether it is the object, whether it is the perception or the cognition, or whether it is any vyavahara we carried out, all of this is possible only when there is something other than them that is aparoksham, that illumines them, and that is self-revealing. These are all, so why achit svabhavatvat, this ghata, and then picking up the ghata, all of this achit, meaning they cannot illumine themselves. The fact that you find them existing, the fact that you can carry out interaction with them, means that they are all given, they are all illumined by something that is self-illuminating, that is aparoksha. So that is how the existence of the Atma, that is aparoksha, my own self, self-effulgent, is sought to be established, So here the teacher wants to establish the existence of Atma also by anumanam, sort of pramanam. So how do you say achit svabhavatvat? That pratyaya, sfuranam, grahanam, all is unconscious. Why? Agamapayitvat. Because the sfuranam also comes and goes, grahanam also comes and goes, perception also comes and goes. All of these are subject to coming and going. Agama apayitvat. So therefore, they need something else to give them satta, to illumine them. Because one that is not steady cannot establish itself. It requires something else to establish. Pradipavata. So Ghatapata, all these objects which are agamapai, coming and going, they require like a lamp to illumine them, because they cannot. What is agamapai? Rachit, meaning that itself is not of the nature of light. You need another light to illumine them. Iti etavat anumanam eha uktam ityartha. Therefore, to establish Atma, anumanam is stated here. Atma is aparoksha, aparoksha, and therefore there is no way to prove it. What is perceived can be proved by anumanam, etc. What is not perceived, then how do you say it is there? We say it is there because these fellows are illumined. But these fellows exist because these fellows, you can interact with them. They are themselves unconscious, therefore they cannot reveal themselves. And still you find them revealed, then only you can interact with them. That shows that there must be something to reveal them. That's how the principle that reveals them, that is Atma, is arrived at by inference. So what's the inference? Vimataha pratyaha svavilakshana anyadena prathana grahana siddhikaha. Vimataha pratyaha, various cognitions. Ghata, pata, cognitions. Thoughts. Svavilakshana anyadena prathana grahana siddhikaha. That a ghatakar vritti requires svavilakshana, something other than vritti, svavilakshana anyadiyena prathana grahana siddhikaha. So something that is prathana means self-shining. Grahanam means upadana or sthiti, that's self-existing. That all these pratyas, such as ghatakara vritti, they are dependent upon, they can exist, or they can be perceived, or they can be established that they are there, provided there is something other than them which is self-shining and which is revealing them. So that is what helps them, that is what in fact establishes the existence of them, or which gives them existence, you can say. That ghatakar vritti, patakar vritti is known by consciousness, exists also because satta sfurti pradhanam. Something that imparts them satta as well as sfurti, the shining. Because the ghatakar vritti does not have its own satta, does not have its own sfurti or shining or prathanam, therefore they are dependent upon something else for their being there and for their shining. Achit svabhavatvat, like ghatapata, they cannot illumine themselves. So when you find that ghata is shining, existing, perceived, then you know that there is light other than the ghata which illumines that, even though light itself cannot be perceived. Pradipavata. So therefore they say there is a pradipa anywhere. So light is there when there is an illuminator such as the bulb. So pradipa is not light, but anyway flame, you can say. So just as pradipa, which of nature of light, is required to illumine ghata, etc., which are not of the nature of light, similarly also atma of nature of consciousness is required to illumine the pratyas which are not conscious themselves. Evam samanyata dushtanumanena atrayam purusha swayam jyotihi. So this interesting how the author goes the other way around. It is anumanam that you arrive at in this manner, in a general manner, that when the Upanishad says atrayam purusha swayam jyotihi, here the Paramatma is self-effulgent. What makes you say, because of the Anumanam, that Paramatma, self-evident Paramatma must be there, because other things are element. Because the Vishaya, the Karana, the Jnata, all of the elements show that the illuminator is there. And that's why when the Upanishad says Atma is Swam Jyoti, this Anuman actually supports that. Not that thing supports Anuman, Anuman supports that. Atma Vasya Jyoti from the same. That Atma alone is the Jyoti of this one here, of this Jivatma who is doing the Vyavahara, etc. Tasya Vasa Sarvedam Vibhati, that shines. Everything else shines after. Ityadi Shruti Siddha Prasiddha Prakashe Swaprakashe Atmani Sambhavana Darsita. Shruti says that Atma is Swaprakasha. But still your mind will want to know on what basis does Shruti say. So therefore you give the yukti. That all these entities are illumined, therefore there must be self-illumined entity which is Atma. And therefore what the Shruti says Atma is self-effulgent becomes meaningful. Becomes supported. So he is supporting here the Shruti from Anumanam. Drashtavyam. I guess when you discuss with Nayayikas and you discuss them in own terms. So Nayayikas want to arrive at everything by only reasoning, by tarka. Then we are providing tarka here to arrive at Atma. It's not that then you are showing that Shruti must be right because it follows tarka. That's how the Nayayikas say. They will accept Vedas only when the Veda also follows tarka. कई घड़ियाल साची से साची આટલા આજે વહેલું આવેલું આ ઘડિયાળ બરાબર. Anyway, so Swaprakaše Atmani Sambhavana Darsita. I am just telling you how here it is the tail which is wagging the dog, Rather than dog wagging the tail is wagging the dog. Rather than establishing tarka based on the Shruti is established based on tarka. Evam Anumanam Atmani Upanyasya. In this manner, presenting Anumanam, the tarka in arriving at the existence of Atma. Vidhimukhena pramanena Atma Siddhi Ukta. So Vidhimukhena pramanena. This tarka establishes the existence of Atma, and therefore Atma is, this is how the Atma Siddhi, that Atma, you arrive at the existence of Atma. By arriving at this, the result of Anuman, that Atma must be there, because all these are illumined, therefore Atma is, and therefore this is called the Vidhi, that Atma is. Tatra kechin nisheda mukhenaiva pranena Atma Siddhi. There are some who want to establish the existence of Atma by negation. Na vidhimukhena apiti. That existence of Atma can be established only by negation, not by assertion. Vidhi means assertion. Atma is this, 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 or Atma is not this, not this, not this. Iti manyanti. Some people believe that you can arrive at the Atma only by negating other things, not by arriving at the Atma on its own. Tanmati nirakaranaya vikalpayati. For refuting that mata, that Atma can be established only by negating. Says no, Atma can be established by asserting also. So those who believe that Atma can be established by neti neti, that mata or opinion or this conclusion is refuted kimanyadati. Kimanyad grahayet kaschita pramanena tu kenachita vinayva tu pramanena nivritya anyasya sheshatah. Kaschit kim anyat grahayat anyat pramanena kenachid. So pramanena vina. So the thing is, how can you make somebody see something without pramanam? In fact, by negatively describing, how can you make somebody see something? That this is not an elephant, this is not a table, this is not a chair. How can you make somebody see that this is a pot? How can I make you see this pot? By grahayet kaschit pramanena kenachit vinayavadu pramanena. So we can make you see this pot by the pramana of your eyes. Suppose you want to know the pot without eyes. Then suppose I describe, this is not an elephant, this is not a table. Vinayavadu pramanena nivritya anyasya sheshatah nivritya. By negating everything else, how can you describe, how can you make this part known to other person? Unless there are eyes that illumine this part. So unless there is a pramanam to illumine the part. If suppose eyes were not there to illumine the part, is it possible for us to make you see this, know the part by saying it is not table, it is not chair, it is not this, it is not that? No. Part can be known only by pramana, which illumines it, and not by negating what it is not. You follow? That's what the verse intends to say. So, verse 24. Prathama tu shabdha evakarat kim anyat grahayat kaschit pramanena eva kenachit. Praman eva tu kenachit kaschit grahayat. It is possible for us to make somebody know something only through pramana, not by anything else. Dvitiyastu va shabda vinayva tu pramanena vinayva va pramanena. So he kaschit vadi. Explain the verse. Kim anyat grahayat kaschit pramanena tu kenachit. Kim anyat grahayat. What is kim? Kim kaschit means kaschit vadi. Kim is it possible that kaschit means vadi? Any vadi means any what shall we call it? Disputant. All right. So kaschit vadi. Any vadi, any disputant, or anybody who has a position. Kim kenachit pramanena dehadebhyat atmatam grahayat. That dehadebhya anyat atmatattva that is different from deha, etc. Will somebody be able to make the atma other than the body see with pramanam? Kimva pramanena vinaya, or can you make him see the atma different from the body without any pramanam? Anyasya nivritya parisheshitah. So will you be able to make the other see the atma different from the body by showing what? The pramanam. Arriving at the existence of atma. By pramanam here, by anumanam. Or can you say that you are not body, you are not this, you are not this, you are not that, you are not that. Is that how will you arrive at that? It is vikalpa. So this is vikalpa. Kim va pramanena vinayava anyasya nivritya parisheshitah. Is it possible? Well, will it be that somebody makes you know the atma by telling what atma is, or by telling what atma is not? By telling what atma is by giving you the proof, or by telling what atma is not? प्रथम पक्षे विधिमुखेनैव प्रमाण प्रवृत्ति सिद्ध्यति इति इष्टहानिः. प्रथम पक्षे विधिमुखेनैव प्रमाण प्रवृत्ति. So if you are arguing in the favor of the nisheda, then if you accept that you can make somebody see by pramanam, that means that you are making him see with a valid means of knowledge. So then your paksha that by nisheda you arrive at it itself is negated. The moment you accept pramanam, then you are accepting by vidimukha alone. When you accept that, this part can be seen only by the eyes, not by saying it is not a cloth, it is not a table, it is etc. So then you are accepting that nisheda mukhena, I cannot arrive at the knowledge of this thing by negating what it is not. When you say that, the part is eliminated by the eyes. Then the paksha that this can be only described as negatively is already dismissed. When you accept a pramanam, that means you are already accepting that it can be only described positively, and the paksha that you can arrive at by negating is refuted. Spashta. So you don't have to discuss that. Is abhipraya dvitiyam pratyaha. So nisheda mukhena. Shabdena pramanena anatma nivritti eva echaidutchate. What does Shabda do? So Shabda, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, etc. Do the Shabda merely negate what Atma is not, or do they describe what Atma is? Shabdena pramanena anatma nivritti. If you say that Satyam Jnanam Anantam only negates what Atma is not, either it describes what Atma is, or it negates what Atma is not. You follow the difference? If you say that Anatma Nivritti, Sat says that it is not Asat, Satyam says is not Asat, Vijnanam says is not Ajnanam, Anantam says is not Antavat. If that is how, by negating, these words enable you to know see Atma, tada adhyakshasya, adhyaksadbhavasya, anyatah prasiddhatvat, then that Atma is only established by saying that Atma is not Asat, Atma is not Achit, not Anananda. Satchit Ananda or Satyam Jnanam Anantam, these words, they reveal Atma not by what Satyam is, but by Satyam means it is not a Satyam. When somebody says that only by Nisheda Mukhera that Atma is revealed, that means word Satya says that Atma is not a Satya. But Jnanam says Atma is not Jnanam. Anantam says Atma is not Antavat. Then you must know what Asat is and what Ajnana is and what Anta is, and to arrive at what it is not. To say that this is not an elephant, you should know what elephant is, then you know that it is not an elephant. To know that it is not table, you should know what table is. So the negation requires knowledge of others' entities, Tada adhyakshasya, adhyakshasadbhavasya, anyatah aprasiddhatvat, parishesha asiddhe. And therefore, tada adhyaksha or adhyaksi, existence of Atma, anyatah aprasiddhatvat, parishesha asiddhe. So, anyatah aprasiddhatvat, Sabde Pramana Nivrittes, aprasiddhatvat shunyataiva prasajjeta. So, adhyakshasya anyatah prasiddhatvat. Now the adhyaksha cannot be arrived at from anything else. It is not this, it is not this, it is not this, etc. Therefore, you cannot arrive at Atma from something else because you are negating those things. Anyatah aprasiddhatvat. Prasiddhi means arriving at the existence of Atma. So, anyatah aprasiddhatvat, since you are negating things, therefore there is nothing else. So, elephant cannot establish Atma, and other things that are negated cannot establish Atma. Parishesha asiddhe. Therefore, Normally, Parishesha means what? You say that, as Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that there is a whole set of coins there and there is one golden coin. You pick up this coin, not this, not this, not this, not this. After negating all of this, something should remain, A residue must be there, then you recognize this is gold. But all that is done is just negation, nothing remains. Parishesha asiddhehe shunyataya avashishyeta. That means that everything is negated, you don't arrive at anything positive, therefore it amounts to saying it is shunya. So if negation is a process adopted for revealing nature of Atma, nothing will remain. You keep negating, then what is it? You don't arrive. Ultimately you arrive at just negation of shunyata, because everything is negated. So can Atma be communicated through negation? Or does Atma require assertion to be communicated? Here the author says negation cannot enable you to know the Atma. Assertion. Satyam jnanam anantam. Atma is satyam, jnanam, anantam. Not asatyam, not ajnanam, not anantam, not antavat. And so, understand the spirit behind these arguments will continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrahashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.